Howdy. Yep, it's random. So, yeah, definitely random. So very random. What the hell? Why not? We'll just drop some tunes in here for you. Send y'all the message. Hey, look there, one person showed up. Random chat. Ah, the hell with it. Didn't feel like listening to music anyways. That's going to keep coming at me for a little while. And everybody's gone again. Yay! So I felt like putting this one out there. For those people who think, well, he worked in a cigar shop, he smoked a lot of cigars, but he might not know all that much about what he's talking about. I'm going to smoke the best-selling cigar on the planet. I'm going to hate it. I'm going to hate every ounce of it. I can already smell it. It is the Cuba Cuba. I am not a big fan. There's some acid blends out there that are okay. Don't get me wrong. Acid. See, ACID. There you go. And if you're looking for the best-selling cigar ever, that is the Cuba Cuba. K-U-B-A. Don't think C-U-B-A. Now, what do I not like about it? Boris! Uvailta Boris. Yes, I am smoking this, the Acid Cuba Cuba, for y'all. I am wanting y'all to know I've backed up what I've said on all of my lives. I don't prefer an infused cigar. This is an infused cigar. You pull this out of the wrapper and you put this to your nose just like that, and you will not smell what you know is a cigar. It does not smell anything like any other cigar on the planet. It's a floral infusion, and it's like there's a little bit of cloves in there. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into an acid cigar. And, I'm going to tell you, it's not to my taste preference. Doesn't mean I won't smoke it. And like any good tobacconist ever should be able to say, yes, I've smoked it. Now, here's the thing about that. Eden, howdy sir, glad to have you here. By the way, Eden, I'm having a acid Cuba cigar. They're flavorful. They have a great construction and an almost perfect draw. But it is an infused cigar, and it's not really going to be one of my favorites. But it is the best-selling cigar of all time. No, not Cuba, but K-U-B-A. Cuba. Yeah, Boris, the curiosity is going to be, how are they going to be able to control it? So I am not actually suggesting people go and smuggle these things, but if you're really into flavored tobacco, I would suggest you get on top of it now before it becomes impossible to get. Eden, I detect cloves and various herbal floral scents. I definitely get cloves though. But I'm not sure exactly what. Unless you work directly for Drew Estates and can get high enough up in the food chain, which means you also technically work for Swisher Sweets. Yeah, surprise! Swisher owns Drew. But they let Drew from Drew Estates actually still run the company the way he was originally. But, yeah, if you're looking for trying infused cigars, I would suggest going ahead and biting the bullet and getting it out of your system while you still have that opportunity. If you're not interested in aromatic tobaccos, or if you're not interested in infused cigars, don't worry about it. It's not going to affect me much personally, because I don't believe Texas is going to ban specifically the flavored cigars and stuff, but they might. It might become difficult to get if the states where these are produced, or the areas where these are produced, is somehow outlawing even the production of. And that's where it could really screw even people who can get them, is if they are produced in an area and it suddenly becomes outlawed in that area to even produce them, well, then they've got to shut that down. And moving factories and equipment like that to an area where it is permissible, it's going to be kind of expensive. Eden, I am certain that there are infused cigars that are similar in infusions to the Lakelands, but which particular Lakelands are you thinking about? Okay, so there is definitely some chocolate-ish flavored cigars. But quite honestly, if I was going to try and suggest to you a chocolate cigar, I wouldn't be trying to suggest to you an infused cigar. Oh, okay. If Bob's Chocolate Flake is not chocolate flavored, then quite honestly, there's a company out there called Southern Draw, and they make a cigar called 300 Manos, which means 300 hands. And if you get the Maduro 300 hands, you will find a very, very interesting chocolate flavor throughout the whole cigar. It's not infused. This is just something that comes natural from the blend that is rolled and how it's produced. The first time I tasted it, I was like, is this thing infused? What the hell? And I tried it again after a while, and I was like, no, it's not infused. It's chocolate. It's really chocolatey. It's got that smooth, almost melt in your mouth feel to it. It's got that chocolate taste about it, and it's like, man. But there's no infusion. It is not made so that it tastes like chocolate, except for the fact that it does taste like chocolate, and they enjoyed that, so they continued to do it. More musty flavors. What do you mean by musty? Do you mean like hanging out in a dank, dark, gritty kind of a bar with gangster feel? Yeah, there's some cigars like that. But if you're talking about like musty, like it's been hanging out in a green damp cave. after the rain. Honestly, I don't think that there will be much on the way of that for a cigar. Eden, that's not a weird question. It's making me think, which makes it a great question. Because I'm trying to remember, like, the last time I went spelunking and how it was, the smells of the cave. And then, well, it's raining right now, so I've got a pretty good feel of what it feels like right after a rain. Now, Eden, there are many cigars that have that hanging out in a dark bar feel and vibe to them. If you want to go high end, and if you're worried about flavored cigars maybe being completely removed from the market, now I'm going to say this, and people are going to think that I've lost my mind. I would suggest trying the Davidoff. Oh God, the late night, or not late night, late hour. The Davidoff late hour, and I would suggest it in the Churchill. I tried it in the Robusto, and it's just not long enough. You're like, really? I need another. I've tried it in the Toro size, and you're like right at that edge of, man, this is just enough to be just perfect. And then I tried it in that Churchill, and the flavors intensify as it gets closer, so you get more and more and more. But that cigar is aged in Scotch casks. So, Dan, good to see you, sir. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If you're worried about getting a cigar that is still a beautifully excellent cigar, but it might be removed completely from your market because it might be considered a flavored cigar, because it is aged in a Scotch cask, and it has some of that, oh my God, you want to put a Scotch in one hand and the cigar in the other, and you just want to sit back and you want to talk with men, or with women that are okay talking with men. And it's just, and I want everybody to try one once at least before they're completely removed from markets where you can't get them anymore. But I'm afraid that they will be, because the big Scotch cask flavoring that comes out from aging in the Scotch casks. And now, it's not like you're saying, oh, hey, look, here's a big old glass of Scotch, I'm going to drink it. Puff, puff. No, it's not like that. It's more that you can feel it on the retrohale, that little tingly warmth that you get out of a Scotch. And I hope that y'all understand what I'm talking about there. It's really hard to explain it if y'all don't. But yeah, if you've ever had a Scotch that you really liked, it's going to have some of those memories in there. And so when you're smoking the Davidoff Late Hour, oh, man. Now, here in Houston, it's $20 plus. It's expensive for a single stick. Still not liking the Cuba Cuba. But look at that burn. I mean, that's like, it's not burning at all. You've seen me smoking it. Let's see, some other cigars that I really feel, they give you that, I am hanging out and being able to just say, to hell with the consequences. God. Any Padron that doesn't say Damaso. Any Padron. From their top of the line Padrones, Davidoff Late Hour was the name, that's correct. And I definitely suggest the Churchill on that damn. The shorter sticks, you're gonna come back and you're gonna go, I didn't want it to end. I didn't want it to end. And how can I explain that? You get something that's so exquisitely good. And yeah, okay, you paid a butt ton of money for it. But even the shorter sticks are not cheap. And you knew you had to pay that hefty price tag for it. And it's biting you in the ass that you did this already. But if it's that damn good, you're not going to want it to end any faster than it absolutely has to. And that's how I feel about the Davidoff Late Hour. With that Scotch cask flavoring that imparts itself into the tobacco, it's... I'm going to be just a regular man for a second. Makes you feel like slapping that pretty red head on the ass and saying, babe, I'll take 2 fingers of... And knowing full well that she's going to be right back with 2 fingers of whatever. It just... It's that kind of a stick. Man, so good. Oh, as far as chocolate cigars, again, there is La Mission, which looks like mission, but it's pronounced La Mission. It's like Latler. Kind of sounds like Latler to my brain. When you see who makes it, you'll understand. Yeah, La Mission is... Oh, Boris, damn, I'm sorry, brother. Yeah, I can't help that statement. Get one of those Davidoff Late Hours to yourself before it gets too cold, though. That way you've got something to look forward to during the summer times when you will enjoy sitting outside for to 2.5 hours. Look at that. I'm sitting here busy just jacking my jaws around. And this cigar, 2 puffs and it's right back to lit up. This is how to become a real tobacconist. Smoke cigars you don't like the flavor of and find out what their freaking sell points are. And tell people, look, that construction is on point. That wrapper is beautiful. The tobacco that they're using is great. It stays lit forever. Smoking honey. Oh look, there's a call from Texas that I'm declining because it just says it's from Texas, which means it's from a computer and probably from India. I love how they always call me and then they go, "Hello? We'd like to talk to you today about..." And I'm like, really? Because you're calling from Texas, so how about you speak Texan? They don't much care for that. The Davidoff Mini Cigarillos, look, they're okay. If I were to really go after a Mini Cigarillo again, Liga Privada makes some good little tins of those. Monte Cristos come out really well as well. Howdy, Stumbo. Great to see you, sir. God, y'all just be careful. Stumbo's in here, and if I end up kissing the screen, that's because Stumbo's in here. Yes, Eden, Liga Privada. You actually spelled it exactly correctly. Liga Privada, the number 9 and the T52. They have some minis that come in some tins. If I'm looking for really what I would say the best mini cigarillo is, it's either those or it's the little Monte Cristo ones that are so small that it burns about in the same amount of time as a cigarette. I don't find Davidoff flavors so extremely interesting that I want to spend $5 for something that's going to last about the same amount of time as a normal cigarette. It just does not appeal to me at all. Monte Cristo. No, neither the Liga Privada or the Monte Cristos are infused. And of course, neither are the Davidoff. That's why I wasn't speaking of infused. If you do want to try some infused ones, look for it's a Drew Estates product that's made by a company called Deadwood. It's just a side project of Drew Estates, in case you're wanting to know. It's the same thing as the acid, but these are just going to be sweet. It's like every puff is going to give you a spoon of sugar with a packet of saccharin on top. You're not going to taste much other than sweet, but it's a decent cigar. 50 count box of the gold for $44. That's not a bad price. Not a problem, James. As anybody knows, if you have a cigar question, I don't mind telling you I don't know. I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. But I'm a damn good place to start. Okay, Eden. Look for a company called Tatuaje. There is a company out there called Tatuaje, and they have, if you're interested in buying a whole crap ton of really small cigars that are really damn good, oh my goodness, the Arturo Fuente Hemingway bestsellers, yeah, they're only about, let's say about that big, and they are Solomon shaped, which means they start from a point, they come out, and then they kind of narrow back towards a point again. It's also sometimes referred to as a small pig. Just a second, Eden. Yeah, as Boris put out there, Tatuaje is, I think that's pretty close. If it's not exactly right, it's pretty damn close. If you look at box price, and you're seeing that there's a box price of this, that, the other, but then start looking at item count per box. When you start seeing that box that says over 50 or right around 50 or something like that, you start seeing the ability there to say, oh, okay. And then there's Arturo Fuente Exquisitos, which is EXQUISITOS or something like that. Both of those are really, really small, quick smokes. They are a freaking great cigar that you're not going to end up with a whole bunch of just, what the hell is this? But yes, those Hemingway bestsellers, excellent sticks. When I worked inside that cigar shop, I'd smoke probably 2 of those a week. But it would be something like, hey, you're getting off at 4, it's 2:45, you're kind of thinking about having another cigar, but you don't really want something that's going to last super long, and you just can't sit there and smoke a cigar because people are in and out all the day long. So I'd get one of those bestsellers or short stories. Short stories are a little bit shorter than the bestseller, but the bestsellers are really good. Oh yeah, the La Bijou. La Bijou. I smoked that yesterday. Freaking awesome cigar. Cuba Cuba. Awesome cigar if you like infused cigars. I'm not a big fan of infused cigars, but I stick to my guns. I will smoke them just so I know exactly what I'm talking about. And any good tobacconist is going to tell you pretty much almost the exact same thing. I smoked it. I smoked it so I know what to talk to you about. I mean, look, that ash is not moving. It's like concrete. I'm not having to toke on it to keep it moving. Oh, the masterpiece now. The masterpieces are crazy good. But now you're talking about you're talking about a cigar that's much, much longer. James, I don't know. I had a morning where it was pretty close to Boris's temperatures. And I'm telling you, I was out here hurting. 16-degree weather. It's just Boris and me. And he was like, you can handle it. Come on. He called me punk and probably at least one more P word. No, actually he didn't. Boris is too damn nice for something like that. But I knew I wasn't going to punk or puss out, and that's just all there was to it. Really? Did the Bengals win? Nice. There's a lot of Fuente I like. There's some I don't, but there's a lot of Fuente I like. I'll tell you a most completely underrated Fuente, and people miss this all the time. It is an 858. Or is that 585? It's either 858 or 585, but they only got that in one. They don't reverse it, so figure it out. But it's not the normal 858. It's the Rosado Sun-Grown. Now, real cigar people, they see that 858 Rosado Sun-Grown come out, they walk into places and they just buy the box. I don't care. Just give me the whole box. Short shaft to every one of us other sons of bitches on the planet that likes a damn good cigar at a reasonable price. Right, so the 858 as a normal stick, it's very good. But budget priced. Ridiculous priced for what you're getting. But that 858 Rosado Sun-Grown, oh my God, that's life-changing. Now see, I was lucky enough to work inside of a cigar shop. So when we got a new box of product, and it wasn't already listed as reserve only, which meant we as the employees could not open the box and say, hey, so that we know how to sell this to people, here's one for each employee. We'll write it off as broken when it shows up, and no big deal. So the Rosado Sun-Growns came in, and I took care of the whole crew, because as the morning guy, that's what I did. And it was awesome. And when the crew started showing up, when the rest of the guys started showing up, and I told them about this cigar, but I was like, dude, you gotta smoke it. I mean, it's already there in your little box. Because if you work at a cigar shop, one of the easiest things to do is to put your name on a box and make sure that the guys you work with are legitimately honest. And when they get a cigar that they know is slightly cracked or damaged enough that you can't quite sell it, you put it in the open grab box. But when you do the cruise cigar, so that we know how to sell what it is, then you put each one of those in each person's cigar box. And I was like, dude, you got to try that new cigar in your box. And the two guys that came in to work night shift that night, they looked at it, and then they looked at me, and they were like, dude, it's an 858, so fucking what? And I was like, dude, you're going to want to try it before tonight gets busy. You might want to go ahead and light up now. But I wouldn't tell them how good it was. So, okay, I'm a white guy, and we had 3 guys that worked at this particular shop. One was black, one was Hispanic. We got along great. And I'm going to tell you, when I told them it was a great cigar, from that point on, they just, shit, gotta try it now. And if they told me that it was a great cigar, I'd try it. Whether I liked it or not, I'd try it. But yeah, that 858 Rosado Sun-Grown was so good that the 3 boxes we had were completely sold out by the end of the night, and it was not by collectors. It was not by those guys who are hunting for that stuff. We didn't advertise it. It was to the people that came in the shop. We'd say, hey, you might want to try one of these. They're not going to be around long. We were right. They were gone by that evening. And I had sold almost a full box that day. They sold 2 more boxes that night. I got 1. Out of 3 boxes that we got, I got 1. I was pissed off that I sold them so well. Jabes, trust me, I know the feeling. Eden, not a problem. Anytime you want cigar recommendations, and I'll be back on at 3 o'clock my time. Let's see, it's a little after 10 now. So, what is that? We're 5 hours from now, 5-ish. And then I'll be hanging around with Chad for a little bit. And you'll be able to catch me again on Martin's show if you're up that late. Or early, as the case may be. Anyways, you take care, Eden, and, you know, just be safe out there. Especially where you are. Things kind of happen in a hurry out there. I am still not really much for enjoying this Cuba Cuba, but I said I would do it. Howdy, Paul. Great to see you, sir. God, I haven't seen you in forever either. What's up with that? Oh, and just in case anybody thinks that acid, and in some way, shape, or form, I am lying about that being Drew Estates. Yeah. But if you're not interested in any more talk about the Cuba Cuba, I will stop yapping about it and I'll just get back to smoking on it. Damn it, Odie, how did you piss off your wife by sucking down her food? Most women like it when you actually tear into food like as if you're trying to tear it all apart. Well, Paul, at least you got work. That's sort of a good thing, right? Ronnie, you didn't get any rain? Well, I got shit tons of it, and I'm getting more later today. Now, I've got mushrooms growing up in my lawn. I can't do shit about them because I can't hardly get out to them to do nothing with them. Oh, you blame her for your eating too much? Well, if it didn't taste so damn good, it wouldn't be eating so damn much. So it is her fault. Then, of course, there's my statement on stuff like that. Not sure if I can say that kind of message here in YouTube without getting in trouble. Zeus had to potty. Well, at least he went. It's not for me. Don't worry, guys. I already knew I hated this one. But there's one I dislike even worse. There is definitely a Drew Estates product I like way less than this, and it all has to do because of flavor. It's called Van Reef. And for the first inch of a Van Reef, you will swear to God that you are in a Mary Poppins movie because you are going to be singing along with Spoonful of Sugar. Damn near put your diabetes over. It won't really, but that's what it tastes like. Just sugar, straight sugar. First solid inch of burn. That's all you can taste is a freaking pile of sugar. And then it changes to cloves. Straight cloves. Just cloves. And when you get tired of cloves, it gives you, you guessed it, more cloves. Look. when I used to smoke cigarettes, I smoked a clove cigarette. No big deal. Those little clove cigarillos that are filtered, not too damn bad. But imagine going for an hour and a half with a cigar that tastes like cloves. Oh my God, by the time you get done, your mouth is so coated with cloves that you literally cannot taste anything else for hours. You take a sip of soda, all you taste is cloves. You take another cigar to try and get that stuff out of your mouth, all you taste is cloves. You go eat hot peppered peanuts called death nuts, and I'm pretty sure all you'll taste is cloves. Okay, your head might explode, but you won't taste it. You'll just taste the cloves. Odie, you will not be right if you sleep in the backyard. Because then she's going to be out there going, what the fuck are you doing sleeping naked in the backyard? You won't let me sleep naked in the bed. Won't let me sleep naked on the couch. I figure the backyard's my next choice. Put a camper on your truck and get one of them blow up cushions for the bed. Maybe you can get by with that. James, don't worry. I'm not trying to tell y'all to smoke something that sucks. But this is the #1 best-selling cigar on the planet. James, does that certain something start with P, end in Y, and make sure that all of us likes it? It is in my case. Odie, I'm just telling the truth, brother. Sorry if it tickled your funny bone while I said it. Oh, God. But yeah. So the Cuba Cuba is still the #1 most selling cigar in well, I'm thinking my wife is wanting coffee. Let's see, how did I diagram that statement now? Let's see. Yeah, I think that's how I said it. James, if I did that, I would be a dead man. But yes, personality. I guess that fits. She's suffering from a migraine. I'm probably being too damn loud. Let's see what her text is. Yeah, that's what it is. It says, I need coffee. Which means she wants me to get up, go and get her some coffee, take it up to her. But she just doesn't want coffee. She wants slow pour. I can't leave y'all here alone. That's the problem. It's almost worth it to do the slow pour just to get out of smoking the rest of this cigar. Y'all know how long slow pour takes to make, though? Okay, let's see how fast I can Keurig her some coffee and lie and call it slow pour. I'm a dead man. I'll make me one too. Why not? Thus ends the quietest 5 minutes of this broadcast. Now, I'll show you. That's a sign of a damn good cigar. It's infused, which makes it taste like hell to me, but Boris, it wasn't a slow pour, that was Keurig. I admit it. Well, let's remember, AFC South, which has Indianapolis, Tennessee Titans, Houston Texans, and Jacksonville Jaguars, were picked to be the worst, straight up worst division in football this year. Out of 8 divisions, they were picked to be worst. One of those teams might possibly go to the Super Bowl with a losing record, because one of them's going to the playoffs. Playoffs? Think about it. A team with a losing record will probably make it to the playoffs this year. None of those teams are great. You know what's really scary? If you're looking at it, look at the rankings for rookie cornerbacks in the NFL this year. Just rookie cornerbacks. So you're not going to have a whole lot of them out there. The 3 top rated rookie cornerbacks, not quarterbacks, but cornerbacks, the guys who are out there to try and ruin a quarterback's day by making interceptions left, right, and sideways. The top 3: Raiders, Broncos, Chargers. That is AFC West. I was looking up those stats the other day and I was like, and then it all of a sudden dawned on me, well, they've got to figure out a way to stop Patrick Mahomes. And the best way to do that is to put you some ace cornerbacks out there to really, really slap around those receivers. Actually, that was a tweet. Somebody sent a tweet. And I guess it's to something I either commented on or it is something that they sent to me directly. Good morning, Chip. Howdy, sir. Woo. Coffee's a little warm. I can tell because my glasses fogged up. Oh, and I apologize that y'all get to hear that loud ding ding. I am expecting emails left, right, and sideways, and I don't always get them. So I make every possible attempt to answer my emails as quickly as possible because, well, in the world of a boiler inspection, you get your job via your emails. You never go in for interviews until after they've talked to you on the email 5 or 6 times. James, I'm not worried about ever having too many views. People do not like me enough to love me. I have been making videos and mostly live feeds on YouTube for over 3 years now. I'm still not up to 300 total viewers. It could be my lack of giving a shit. Now, I'll tell you, back when I was a young man, I actually cared what people thought. I was very shy, couldn't talk to women. Of course, back then they were actually just girls, but still. Females that were close enough to my age that I could actually talk to them, couldn't do it. I'd freeze up, couldn't do it. Then I went into the Army. And I went from being about this big around to being, well, when I got out the Army, I went into the Army at 120 pounds. 17 years old, 120 pounds. They fed me 3 meals every chow and made me work out like I was some sort of championship workout machine. And oh, thank you, James, I appreciate that. Something I learned to do in the Army. Sneeze without going, achoo! They teach you some tricks when you're in airborne. You might be in some places where a sneeze can get you killed. I could cover it up even farther and make it down to the point where you wouldn't even notice it if you were 10 feet away from me. But, howdy, Cameron. Also, my favorite rabbit. But, yeah, so I went in at 120 pounds and they fed me and made me work out, and they fed me and made me work out, and they fed me and made me work out. Plus, when they found out I was going to be airborne, they started making me carry these heavy freaking packs and everything else. Jesus Christ. I thought it would never end. It was brutal. But for me, surprisingly fun. And, came back for my senior year of high school, because I was on the delayed entry program, and you can check into that if you like. I'm not even sure they even still do this anymore, where you can go between your junior year and your senior year, and you can go through boot camp and jump school. You'll show up about 2 days late, and quite literally, as soon as you finish your last final at school, you will walk outside and get into a government vehicle and be on a plane. I mean, so it's like, boom, boom, go. But schools now start a little bit earlier than they did back in 1991. So what do you want me to say? I can't guarantee that they still do everything that I got to do. But I went through boot camp and jump school. I went out of my school, walked out. I was that big around, 120 pounds. Walked back in for my senior year, 173 pounds, not an ounce of fat. It was all just solid muscle. And suddenly, girls were wanting to talk to me. Of course, I walked in first day with BDUs on. I had to spend a little bit of my money from boot and jump to buy a whole new wardrobe because nothing fit. The pants still fit, barely, because my legs had grown, my calves had swole up from the use. But none of my shirts fit. Couldn't get my shoulders into it. Oh, okay, James, that's cool. Yeah, if you ever see her, hear from her again, let her know. Man, thank her for her service. I mean, I understand some of what she's gone through. And hopefully, it's better now than it was when I was in. Chip. This is a Cuba Cuba. Paul, don't you love it when that happens? Not at all? At all, at all? So yeah, I was 20 years ahead of her as far as going in. And see, I went in during Mr. Bush Senior. Power generation equipment repair. That was 52 Delta back then. And that job title got handed over to private contractors while I was in. And then the military decided that if I was going to re-up, I had the choice of infantry or nothing. Plus, I was going to lose some rank, and I was still going to have to try and get through my my time and grade path, 3 strikes you're out system. And I was looking at them, and I was going like, there's no way I can lose the rank and progress up high enough that I'm still going to be in. So I'm going to get drummed out anyways. I said, nah, I'm not doing infantry. Not after all the schools and BS that I've already gone through. Whew, good thing they weren't having school, because that'd be like all over the news right now, wouldn't it? Here in America, we have school shootings. There in England, they just have school collapsings. Lord. I remember when the worst thing you had to worry about in school was talking to that pretty girl you kept trying to get enough gumption up to actually say, howdy, ma'am. or any other line that you might have thought up that sounded cool to you, which was probably horrible. I tell you what, though, best line or worst line I ever used that actually worked. Sitting next to this girl, and she got a chocolate cake, and on that chocolate cake was a maraschino cherry with stem on it. And I leaned over and I said, "I'll fight you for that cherry." She said, "I'll win." Oh, it's on. Damn, that is a shame, Paul. You know, unless the school board was already planning to have the whole roof replaced and they were just hoping that it could be hobbled along until they could get all the funding in place for it, there is no amount of we'll just hobble it along that ever beats actual maintenance. It's just sad that people will let it go that way. And yes, Paul, definitely be careful if you're on that crew that's going to be replacing that roof, because from past experience, if you've got some parts that are sagging, weak, or falling in, there's a good chance that you're going to have other sections that are going to be very much like that. And if you go walking around up there, there's a good possibility of falling through on spots. So wear your lifeline. Best I can tell you. If you're not wearing a harness and a lifeline, coming through a ceiling like that, you never know what's below you. You might have a nice smooth landing, and then again, you might land half on and half off of something and be completely jacked up. And tie off to something solid. You would not believe how many times I've seen people tie off to a little bitty 3/4 piece of conduit, thinking, "Oh yeah, this is okay." No. Dan, that's just John. Only John Knight lands on the wrong parts of chairs. Hell, Paul will be lucky if he's not fired for pointing it out that they had these problems. It's the way a lot of companies work nowadays. Oh, you pointed it out, but you didn't actually fix it. Like I had the equipment or the chance. Seen that happen way too many times. Hey, did y'all notice it's getting dark around here? Yeah. It got dark. Yeah, Paul, that's way too often the case. None of these places, there's no business, there's no school, there's no government office that wants to spend money for necessary things until it's absolutely 100% way too late. And I mean, there's ways to sit there and say, look, it's not safe now, but we can make it safe enough that we can get through until we can actually fix it for real. Radar says I should be raining. Yeah, well, radar ain't lying. Wind picked up. It just dropped about 5 degrees. As you can tell, it just got like a lot darker over here. And if you listen closely, every once in a while, you might hear some thunder. But blessedly, no cicadas. Take the good with the bad, right? Yeah, it might end up Johnny Come a Flood style raining. That'll be fun. Still lit. Have not had to relight. Went in, made 2 cups of coffee, carried one upstairs. Just left it sitting here burning. There is very few cigars that are constructed that well. Sure, it's a Cuba Cuba. Yeah, I don't like the taste. But my opinion doesn't count, right? Think about this. My opinion is only an opinion based upon my specific taste buds. If you like the Cuba Cuba, smoke them. They're a damn fine cigar. I wish more cigars were constructed this well, this good of a draw, this ability to stay lit even when you're just chatting with friends. I've seen many of cigars, even cigars I like, that cannot live up to that kind of situation. I'm seeing a couple of drops now hitting some puddles out there on the sidewalk. So yes, it's raining. Here in the Friendswood. In fact, I think it's the only town on the planet called Friendswood. Yes, James, I am definitely under a roof. Now, the roof is about 2 stories up. And I've only got about as far as I can stretch my arms worth of space going one way. And maybe, I'll call it 10 feet, but I know it's shorter than that going the other way. So let's call it 7 by 9. That's how much of an overhang I'm in. That's where here where I'm normally at. But I got a little spot where I can plug in so I can have power for my phone. That way it makes it through an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's kind of like a front porch. Sort of. Kind of. It's a real small porch, though. And y'all don't worry too much about me running out of cigars. I've got another one for this afternoon, where I'll again be smoking a black market so that I'm not sitting there making these faces like one thing I am starting to pick up a little bit more of on this, though, is the cloves is starting to intensify a little bit. Not like the Van Reef did, but you can detect it more on the taste buds. James, I hardly ever smoke a pipe while it is under threat of heavy rain, because then, like with a cigar, I can pick it up and move way back under the roof, no big deal. Or if it's at the end, I can just throw it out. But with a pipe, you're kind of stuck out here, and if the rain really starts coming in on me, there's not much I can do about it. And if it's a nice pipe, well, I don't want them getting wet. And if it's just a corn cob, they'll actually absorb the moisture from the rain, and it damages them, in my opinion. Now, a light rain, sure, no problem, smoke a pipe. But if it's a heavy rain, like what I'm expecting, I don't take that chance. But yes, I smoke a pipe. I'll probably still end up smoking 2 or 3 bowls worth today. And on a normal day, if I'm not feeling like a live broadcast, I'll probably smoke maybe 5 or 6 bowls, depending upon how much free time I've got. Of course, there are days where Holly has made me a list of stuff I've got to get done, and I might be lucky enough to get one later off in the evening and none throughout the day. But right now, with her having a migraine, I'm not doing the vacuuming because I'm not going to be making noise. I was going to be recalking a tub, but the tub I was going to be recalking is right there by where she's asleep right now, and I'm not going to be making that kind of noise either. If she was at work right now in the kitchen, I would be busy scraping the crap out of a tub is what I'd be doing. Normally I'm almost always working. I hardly ever get the chance to just sit down and chat with y'all. But I do take my time to, while she's sleeping, get out here and make a live show, or Thursday afternoon. Now note, Thursday afternoon I start at 5. I've been working all day. I'm going to sit down and have a pipe or a cigar and just chill out for a minute. And on Friday, well, I've been working all week. I do my live for the hour. Yes, Boris, that was definitely thunder. I do my live for the hour before she gets off work. That way, if she wants to do anything right after work, I'll just be like, hey, I'm on Holly time. Later, gentlemen. And of course, ladies, if there are any ladies. I fully expect it's still going to be raining tonight at 3 o'clock my time. Don't worry, I will still be here for that. Ukko. Is that the thunder god from Finland? Is Ukko. Thor, Zeus. I know there's a few other, there's, 60 or 80 different thunder gods on the planet. And back when the American Indians were around, they all had a various different thunder god. A lot of those tribes have either been so decimated that their traditions and gods are basically gone now. Kind of sad that. Oh, so just in case somebody was watching, last night somebody mentioned something about an 8-cent per mile tax that Biden is planning on his spending bill. As of this specific time, that has been a major point of contention in both the House and the Senate. And it will probably be removed due to the fact that now, people are going to think I'm talking out my ass when I say this. None of the people want every price tag on the planet to go up that much. Think about what happens. 8 cents a mile. Well, the company that drives milk from the dairy or from the farm dairy to the dairy processing plant, they're going to pass along that cost to the end consumer, which for them is the processing plant. And then the processing plant is going to process it into various different dairy products. And then they're going to ship it out to their locations to sell it. And they're going to pass along that new price that they just had to pay, plus the new price that they had to pay for shipping, along to the end consumers. So that gallon of milk that 20 years ago cost $1, that now costs $3, is going to end up being closer to $10. And everybody who's thinking, oh yeah, this is going to help save the United States of America, is no longer going to be able to afford milk. But let's not just think milk, let's think everything. Because everything gets shipped. Unless you're producing it all yourself, everything gets shipped. So everything would go up by 8 cents per mile from where it's shipped. Good Lord, $4 a gallon. And here I was wanting to be a little bit upset about the $3 a gallon that I saw just today. Think about what happens to gas prices. Howdy, Sissy and Tom. Great to see you, sir. Yeah, gas prices. Y'all think it's bad right now. Think about it. That gas shows up in a truck. That truck could travel anywhere from 2 miles, which is the closest I've ever seen a gas station to a refinery, to as much as 300 miles. Yeah. Oh, and some people said, oh, the Democrats are all for it because their constituents all ride the bus. Well, what do you think's going to happen to that bus when the bus fares go up 8 cents a mile? Think about it. Think about it. In a city like Houston, that could be as much as a $3 raise for your regular everyday bus fare. Yeah, some people are going to say, oh, that's going to happen. But you know what? Not every Democrat's going to vote for that either, because suddenly their constituents are going to be even more broke than they already were. Well, right, so Cameron, that's per gallon. Okay, that's rated by gallon. But when they start taxing it by mile, now they're getting it on one side and the other. How about those people who are Uber and Lyft drivers and, you know, DoorDash and all these people that deliver food, this, that, the other? You're going to be running businesses out left, right, and sideways. Hey, that pizza that you used to only pay $20 for is now going to be $40. Because the guy in the car ain't going to pay that tax on the end result of delivering that pizza. It's going to be the person who's going to be eating that pizza. Well, talk about some broke. That's when you're really going to see it. They start taxing people for actually moving a mile. Yeah. Might as well go ahead and say, hey, everybody on the planet who is an American citizen, go ahead and revolt. Because when those prices go up, they will go up fast, hard, and inconsiderate of what you think. So I'm pretty certain that that major point of contention is going to end up having to come out of the Biden spending bill. Otherwise, it's never going to pass. And right now, they've just recently put it out on, what, NBC, I think, put it out recently that there's a major problem with the spending bill and they're looking at a government shutdown. Well, the major problem is that nobody wants to sign to that bill and be known as the guy who put everybody into the poorhouse. Howdy, Skip. Great to see you, sir. I don't know about that, Tom. I'm not pouring my tobacco into the harbor just to prove a point. But saltpeter, sulfur, and charcoal well, for those of all who know just about what I said, then they understand. Skip, I'm right there with you on this side, brother. Oh, so looking to the end of this cigar. And it's starting to get a little warm, so I'm not far from it. But yes, that's how a good tobacconist rolls. We smoke stuff that we are pretty certain we're not going to like, just so that we know enough about it so that we can talk about it. It's only by making an informed decision can you actually tell somebody about something that they might or might not like. Yeah, that's done. And it's raining, so it can go out in the front yard. And the lawnmower will chew up what's left of it. Cuba, Cuba! Yummy! James, that doesn't make you a sucky tobacconist. That just makes you a tobacconist that sticks to your preferences. But when I was in that cigar shop, I definitely wanted to be full on about my business. Yes, sir. The Cuba Cuba by Acid from Drew Estates. Drew Estates, which is owned ultimately by Swisher. Yeah, the same company that makes Swisher Sweets. They at least were smart enough to leave Drew Estates alone and tell Jonathan Drew that he could still make exactly the same stuff that he was already making. Cameron, yeah, I am. I'm not a huge Acid fan. There's a few that I would still smoke. James, that is a very true statement, and still true today. And still true until dogs are outlawed. Tom, that is sort of true, but when you consider that it is the best selling cigar on the planet, and that at least 2 years ago, now I haven't checked recently, but 2 years ago, for every cigar sold that was not named Cuba Cuba, 2 of these sold. Yes, 2 Cuba Cubas sold for every other cigar on the planet. So you total up every cigar ever sold ever 2 years ago. And you total up, or you take out all the Cuba Cubas from that total, and you just total up the Cuba Cubas all by themselves, and you would see that it was 2 for 1. 2 Cuba Cubas for every one other cigar sold, which is ridiculous. So it pays in the long run, even if you don't like that kind of stick, to at least know about it enough to say, hey, this is what you're going to be able to expect. There's a floral infusion, there's a little bit of some cloves. The roll is perfect. The burn is exquisite. The ash hangs on like concrete. If it was without that infusion, it would be one of the best cigars ever, in my opinion. About to have some more lightning. Yes, sir, Cameron, that is definitely true. That is a huge Twinkie when you think about it. Now, with the advent of all these local and state governments saying we're no longer going to allow infused or flavored tobaccos, I'm fairly certain that the acid lineup has taken a little bit of a hit. But how did that cigar become the top-selling cigar on the planet? By that big of a margin. There has to be some good parts of it. And that's something to look for when you go looking for a really, really good tobacco shop. If they're going to sell cigars and they have acids, can the guy behind the counter talk intelligently enough about an acid cigar, even if he doesn't like it, to at least maybe consider, or maybe get you to consider, actually purchasing one? In the better shops, you're always going to find that that would be a yes. There's no way you want to have product that does not sell. But there's no way you want to not have the #1 selling cigar on the planet on your shelves if it's legal to sell. It is what it is. Same thing with Lane 1Q. Lane 1Q is the Cuba Cuba of the pipe tobacco world. I'm not a big fan, but I've smoked it. I couldn't believe that Lane 1Q sells £1.50 for every pound of other tobacco sold. So, I mean, But if you've got a guy who doesn't like it trying to sell it to you, he better know something about what he's talking about. And that's how to figure out how your good tobacconists are. Not a problem, Dan. It's one of those things. I do like to talk about this subject on a fairly regular basis so that people can understand. I'm not going to try and convince somebody not to purchase a cigar or a pipe tobacco. I will tell you the best parts about it, in my opinion. But remember, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Unless, of course, it's me, and then I am one. So, hey. But I've been on here for almost 2 hours. Let's see. That cigar lasted hour and 45 minutes for something that's a Robusto. That's a damn good long burn. Most cigars that size are not going to last that long. Now, yeah, some of it is that I'm not really chooching on it because I'm not really super enthused about the flavor. But if you have to have a cigar for one of those people that doesn't actually like cigars, it might be worth a shot. So anyways, I've got stuff I've got to kind of get around to doing, unfortunately. It has been fun hanging out with y'all, talking cigars and tobacco and everything else that shows up in topic. And if you're around and you're bored around 3 o'clock Central Time, hey, I'm going to be here, ready to go. Anyways, y'all take care. Remember, take care of yourselves and each other. Do the best you can on that. As per always. Let's see, in the words of Stumbo, smoke the tobacco you like in the pipe you like, unless, of course, it's a cigar. And then even if it is a cigar, if you know how to fit it in there. And y'all take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Thanks for joining in. Glad y'all were here. See y'all around 3.